I'm 100 years old. And believe me when I tell you that, I didn't think I'd make it this far either. At 60, my doctor told me I had 10 years left if I was lucky. 70, another doctor diagnosed me with type 2 diabetes and warned me to prepare myself. At 80, no one said anything anymore. They just looked at me with that face of, "Are you still here?" You know what's the hardest thing about getting old? It's not the joint pain. It's not the wrinkles or gray hair. The hardest thing is watching your body give up. How one day you wake up and something you did without thinking, it's like climbing stairs or remembering where you left your keys, suddenly becomes a battle. When I was 58, I worked in construction. I was foreman of a crew of 20 men. I was the first to arrive and the last to leave. I carried cement bags, climbed scaffolding, worked under the sun for 12 hours straight, and my body responded. It always responded. But at 59, something changed. I started feeling a tiredness that wouldn't go away with sleep. A tiredness, deep, like my bones were made of lead. I'd wake up in the morning and I was already exhausted. And I started getting sick. Fluss that lasted weeks. Infections that wouldn't heal. Constant headaches. I went to the doctor. They ran tests, and the diagnosis was definitive. High blood pressure, sky-high cholesterol, pre-diabetes. The doctor, a young man with thick glasses, looked at me and said, "Don Manuel, your body is collapsing. If you don't make drastic changes, you won't make it to 70. I still had 2 young children. My wife, Marta, was barely 52 years old. And I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want my children to remember me as the father who left too soon, the father who didn't get to see their graduations, their weddings, their own children. The doctor prescribed me a list of medications. Pills for blood pressure, pills for cholesterol, pills for circulation, pills to sleep because the others kept me awake. And he told me, "This is for life. Get used to it." I left that appointment with a bag full of medication boxes and a feeling of defeat I can't describe. I felt my life was over, that from then on I was no longer Manuel, the builder. I was Manuel, the sick man, the one who depended on pills to stay alive. And that's how I was for 2 years. 2 years taking all those pills religiously. And you know what happened? Nothing. Well, not nothing. I got worse. I felt worse. More tired. Weaker. More dimmed. At 61, I could no longer work. I had to retire. I stayed home watching television, waiting, basically waiting to die. My wife looked at me with worry. My children visited me with that sadness in their eyes, and I felt useless, a burden, a weight, until one day, I received a visit that changed everything. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because on Tuesdays, Marta went to the market and I stayed home alone. There was a knock at the door. And when I opened it, there was Don Jacinto. Don Jacinto had been my boss when I was 25 years old. He was the one who taught me the construction trade, a tough man, of few words but fair. I hadn't seen him in years. I invited him in, made coffee, and we started talking. I told him everything, the medications, the tiredness, the diagnosis, everything. And he listened to me in silence, nodding occasionally. When I finished, Don Jacinto leaned back in his chair and said something that I didn't understand at that moment. Manuel, I'm 83 years old, and I don't take a single pill, and I work in my garden every day. I walk 5 kilometers every morning. And my secret is in what I eat. I looked at him skeptically, because at that moment I believed that health came from doctors, from hospitals, from modern science, not from food. Food was just food. Fuel for the body, nothing more. But Don Jacinto told me something that stuck with me. He said, "The human body is like a machine, Manuel. If you put bad fuel in it, it breaks down. If you put good fuel in it, it works." Simple. And the best fuel isn't in pharmacies, it's in nature. He told me about 4 fruits. Just 4. 4 fruits that, according to him, had completely transformed his health after a heart attack that almost killed him at 68. I honestly didn't fully believe him. It sounded too simple, too easy. But something in his gaze, something in his vitality at 83 years old made me pay attention. Before leaving, Don Jacinto gave me an old notebook, this one, and he told me, "Everything's here. The 4 fruits, how to eat them, when to eat them. Try it. For 6 months. Just 6. And if it doesn't work, go back to your pills. But if it works, you'll thank me for the rest of your life." That night, when Marta came home from the market, I showed her the notebook. She read Don Jacinto's notes and looked at me with that mix of hope and skepticism. "What do you have to lose?" she said. And she was right. What did I have to lose? I was dying anyway. The next day, I started. And what I discovered in those 6 months, what I discovered didn't just save my life, it gave it back to me. The first fruit was the banana, the humble banana. That yellow fruit everyone knows, that costs pennies, that no one pays attention to. Don Jacinto had written, 1 ripe banana every morning, on an empty stomach, no more, no less. Ripe, not green. That's important. I read that and thought, really? A banana is going to cure me? But well, I tried it. The first morning, before my coffee, I ate a banana. It was sweet, creamy, nothing special. I continued with my day, took my pills, everything the same. Second morning, another banana. Third morning, another banana. During the first week, I noticed nothing, absolutely nothing. I was even thinking about quitting. But in the second week, something curious happened. I realized I no longer had those energy crashes that hit me mid-morning, That feeling that you need to lie down because you can't go on. It wasn't happening anymore. And in the third week, something more obvious. I started going to the bathroom regularly. Pardon the frankness, but at my age, that's important. And I had spent years with constipation problems, medications for that too. But suddenly, without pills, my body started working on its own. Marta noticed. "You look less bloated," she told me. And she was right. I weighed myself. I had lost 3 kilos, not muscle, from inflammation. From fluid retention. My body was cleansing itself. I still didn't fully understand, But Don Jacinto had written in the notebook, "The banana has potassium. Potassium regulates blood pressure, cleans the kidneys, feeds the muscles, including the heart. It's natural medicine." And I started feeling that. My blood pressure, which was always at 160 over 100, started dropping. 155, 150, 145. Without increasing the pill dosage, just with the banana. The second fruit was the apple.
Don Jacinto wrote, "One apple at noon, with skin. The skin is the most important part. That's where the fiber is, the antioxidants. Don't peel it. Don't." I had never eaten apples with skin. I always peeled them. It seemed weird. But well, if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. I started eating a whole apple every noon. At first, it was difficult. The skin was tough, a bit bitter, but I got used to it. And here's something happened that scared me at first, honestly. In the 4th week, my blood sugar level, which was always sky high, started dropping. I measured myself every day because the doctor had ordered it, and the numbers started changing. From 180, it dropped to 165, then to 150, then to 140. I didn't understand. I hadn't changed my pills. I hadn't drastically changed my diet. I had only added a banana and an apple. I called Don Jacinto. I told him, "What's happening? Why is my sugar dropping?" And he laughed. "I told you, boy. The apple has pectin. Pectin traps sugar in the intestine and releases it slowly. No spikes, no crashes. Everything regulates itself." In the 2nd month, my doctor saw me for the routine checkup. He ran tests, and when he saw the results, he went quiet. He looked at the papers, looked at me, looked at the papers again. "Don Manuel," he said, "what are you doing differently?" I told him about the fruits, about the banana, the apple. And he smiled condescendingly. You know, that smile of, "Oh, these old folks with their home remedies." "Well," he said, "whatever it is, keep doing it. Your numbers are improving." But I saw in his eyes that he didn't believe the fruits had anything to do with it. For him, it was coincidence. But I knew. I knew it was real. The 3rd fruit was papaya. This was the biggest revelation. Don Jacinto wrote, "Half a papaya every afternoon, 2 hours after eating. Papaya has enzymes that digest proteins, cleans the stomach, detoxifies the liver. It's miraculous." I had never been much of a papaya fan. I found it too sweet, too soft, but I started eating it religiously, every afternoon, without fail. In the 6th week, I woke up one morning and nothing hurt. Nothing. Not my knees, not my back, not my hands, nothing. I had spent years with joint pain, constant pain. I'd wake up stiff, needed 10 minutes to be able to walk properly. But that morning, I got up and moved with ease. Like I was 40 years old again. I told Marta, "Nothing hurts," and she looked at me like I was crazy. "What do you mean nothing hurts?" Nothing, I repeated. Not my knees, not my back, nothing. She touched my forehead to see if I had a fever. Laughs. She thought I was delirious. But no, it was real. I went to the library. I read old natural medicine books, and I discovered that papaya has something called papain, an enzyme that reduces inflammation. The 4th fruit was the pomegranate. Don Jacinto wrote, "1 pomegranate 3 times a week. The red seeds, all of them. The pomegranate cleanses the blood, protects the heart, regenerates cells." Now, de-seeding a pomegranate is work. Those little seeds, the juice that splashes, the time it takes. But I did it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like a ritual. I'd sit in the kitchen with a large bowl, open the pomegranate carefully, and take out each seed, one by one. And while I did it, I meditated. It was almost therapeutic, and I ate them slowly, feeling them burst in my mouth. That bittersweet flavor, that crunchy texture. It was like each seed was a little pill of life. In the 3rd month, what changed everything happened. I went to the doctor for another checkup. They did complete tests, blood, urine, electrocardiogram, everything. And when the doctor called me to his office, his face was different. He sat across from me, put the results on the desk, and stared at me.
Don Manuel, he said, I don't know how to explain this. My heart raced. I thought the worst. Your cholesterol dropped from 280 to 190. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your triglycerides, your liver, some all normal. All perfect. In 30 years of medical practice, I have never seen a reversal like this, without changing medications, without surgeries, nothing. What are you doing? This time I told him everything. The banana, the apple, the papaya, the pomegranate, Don Jacinto, the notebook, everything. And he listened, really listened. When I finished, he was silent for a long time. Modern medicine sometimes forgets the basics. You went back to the fundamentals, to nutrition, to the natural. Are you telling me the fruits cured me? I asked. No. The fruits didn't cure you. Your body healed itself. The fruits just gave it the tools to do so. In my body, in its capacity to regenerate, it just needed help.
I left that appointment and I cried. From relief, from gratitude, from hope. Hope that I would see my children grow up, my grandchildren be born, that I would have more time with Marta. I continued with the 4 fruits, not just for 6 months, for years, for decades. And here I am, 100 years old, without diabetes, without high blood pressure, without cholesterol, no medications, none. My knees creak sometimes. I get tired faster. I'm realistic. I'm 100 years old. But I'm alive, lucid, active. Last month, I walked 3 kilometers without stopping. My grandchildren are already adults. I have great-grandchildren who know me, who play with me, who listen to my stories. Things that at 61 I thought I would never experience. All because a wise man taught me something modern medicine had forgotten, that nature knows, that the most powerful answers are sometimes the simplest. Don Jacinto died at 97, in his garden, picking tomatoes, quickly, without pain, without hospitals, the way he wanted. Before he died, I went to thank him. Don Jacinto, you saved my life. And you know what he told me? I didn't save you, boy. Nature saved you. I just reminded you that it exists. And he was right. We live in a world where they tell us health is in pharmacies, in expensive treatments, in pills that cost a fortune. And I'm not saying that's not important. Modern medicine saves lives. I know. But they've made us forget that our body is wise, that it can regenerate, repair, strengthen itself if we give it the right tools, tools that aren't patented, that don't need a prescription. 4 fruits: banana, apple, papaya, pomegranate. Are they magical? No. They won't cure cancer. They won't regenerate a destroyed organ, but they are quietly powerful. The banana regulates blood pressure and feeds the heart. The apple controls sugar and protects cells. The papaya reduces inflammation and detoxifies the body. And the pomegranate cleanses the blood, regenerates arteries, protects the heart. Together, they are a natural pharmacy. That costs pennies, that anyone can access. At 61, I was given up on. Today, I'm 100. And I plan to make it to 110. How? With these 4 fruits, with walking, with sun, with clean water, with laughter, with love. With the basic things human beings need and that we've unnecessarily complicated. If you're listening to me and you're 40, 50, 60 years old and starting to feel your health slip away, listen carefully. It's not too late. Start today. A banana in the morning, an apple at noon, papaya in the afternoon, pomegranate 3 times a week. Try it for 6 months and compare. Measure your blood pressure, your sugar, your cholesterol. I'm not asking you to believe me blindly. I'm asking you to let your own body give you the answer. Marta is still here. She's 92. And she also eats these 4 fruits. We're together 192 years between us, still holding hands, still laughing, still alive.
My children tell me, Dad, you're a miracle. And I tell them no. I'm a decision I made at 61 and have maintained every day since. A decision to trust in nature, to trust in my body. And you can make that decision too, today. Don't wait until it's too late.